Welcome to the Bible Quiz. Nicodemus came to Jesus under cover of darkness. Jacob wrestled a stranger until dawn. Paul and Silas sang hymns at midnight in prison. The Bible's most dramatic moments often happened after dark. Tonight, every question takes place at night. 25 questions. Let us begin. Question 1. After wrestling with God all night, what new name did Jacob receive? A. Israel. B. Judah. C. Joseph. D. Levi. Your 10 seconds begin. Astonishing. It's A. Israel. Genesis, chapter 32, verses 22 to 28 records one of the most mysterious nights in all of Scripture. Jacob sent his family across the ford of Jabbok and was left alone. A man wrestled with him until daybreak, and when the man saw he could not overpower Jacob, he touched the socket of his hip and wrenched it. Then he renamed Jacob Israel, meaning he struggles with God. Jacob walked with a limp for the rest of his life. Question 2. Samuel ran to Eli how many times before realizing it was God calling him? A. Once. B. 3 times. C. Twice. D. 4 times. 10 seconds to choose. Brilliant. It's B. 3 times. 1 Samuel chapter 3 verses 1 to 8 records a night that changed Israel's prophetic history. The boy Samuel was sleeping in the temple when he heard his name called. He ran to Eli 3 times, and 3 times Eli told him he had not called. On the 3rd occasion, Eli realized it was the Lord and told Samuel how to respond. Samuel lay back down, and when the Lord called again, he answered, "Speak, for your servant is listening." Question 3. In his dream at Gibeon, God told Solomon, "Ask for, you want." Fill in the blank. A. Whatever. B. Anything. C. Wisdom only. D. Long life. The clock starts now. Phenomenal. It's A. Whatever. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 5 records the night at Gibeon. The Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and made an astonishing offer. Ask for whatever you want. Solomon did not ask for wealth, long life, or victory over enemies. He asked for a discerning heart to govern God's people. God was so pleased he gave Solomon wisdom, and then gave him everything he had not asked for as well. Question 4. What did Gideon's 300 soldiers carry alongside their trumpets in the night raid? A. Swords. B. Shields. C. Lit torches. D. Jars and torches. You have 10 seconds. Victorious. It's D. Jars and torches. Judges, chapter 7, verses 16 to 20, records the strangest military tactic in Scripture. Gideon divided his 300 men into 3 groups and gave each man a trumpet and an empty jar with a torch hidden inside. They surrounded the Midianite camp at night. At Gideon's signal, they blew their trumpets, smashed their jars to reveal the torches, and shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" The Midianites panicked and turned on one another in the darkness. Question 5. When did Nicodemus first come to Jesus according to John chapter 3? A. At night. B. At dawn. C. At midday. D. At sunset. 10 seconds begin. Inspiring. It's A. At night. John chapter 3 verse 2 opens simply, "He came to Jesus at night." Nicodemus was a Pharisee on the Jewish ruling council who could not risk being seen with Jesus in public. The darkness gave him freedom to ask his questions. It was in this private meeting that Jesus spoke the most famous words in all of Scripture. "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son." Question 6. What did Israelite families apply to their doorposts on the night of Passover? A. Oil. B. The blood. C. Cedar bark. D. Red clay. Your 10 seconds begin. Wonderful. It's B. The blood. Exodus chapter 12, verses 22 to 23 gives the instruction precisely. Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood, and apply it to the top and sides of the doorframe. When the Lord passed through Egypt to strike down the firstborn, he would pass over any house with blood on its doorpost. The blood was not a decoration. It was the difference between life and death on the most terrifying night in Egypt's history. Question 7. What was Peter doing when an angel came to rescue him from prison at night? A. Praying. B. Singing. C. Sleeping. D. Weeping. The clock starts now. Masterful. It's C. Sleeping. Acts chapter 12, verse 6 paints an extraordinary picture. Peter was scheduled to be brought to trial the next morning. Herod had already executed James, and Peter was sleeping. Not pacing, not panicking, sleeping. He was so deeply asleep that the angel had to strike him to wake him. Then his chains fell off. The iron gate of the city opened by itself, and Peter walked out a free man, thinking he was seeing a vision. Question 8. During which watch of the night did Jesus walk on the water toward the disciples? A. First watch. B. Second watch. C. Third watch. D. Fourth watch. The clock starts now. Incredible! It's D. Fourth watch. Matthew chapter 14, verse 25 records the moment precisely. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. The fourth watch was the last of the night, roughly 3 to 6 in the morning. The disciples had been rowing for hours, exhausted and terrified, when they saw a figure walking on the water toward them. They thought it was a ghost. Then they heard his voice. "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." Question 9. Which gospel notes it was night when Judas left to betray Jesus? A. John. B. Luke. C. Matthew. D. Mark. You have 10 seconds. Shocking! It's A. John. Only John chapter 13 verse 30 adds a four-word detail the other Gospels omit, and it was night. When Judas took the piece of bread and left the upper room to betray Jesus, John pauses to note the darkness. Theologians have debated whether this is historical observation or spiritual symbolism, the one who chose darkness walking out into the night to betray the light of the world. It may well be both. Question 10. What did Nehemiah keep secret on his nighttime inspection of Jerusalem's walls? A. His identity. B. His plan. C. His guards. D. His time frame. 10 seconds begin. Outstanding. It's B. His plan. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 12 records Nehemiah's covert inspection. I set out during the night with a few others. I had not told anyone what my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. He rode through the rubble of the broken walls by night, examining the damage in secret. He told no one his plan, not the officials, not the priests, not any of the nobles, until he was ready to act. If these nighttime stories are bringing Scripture to life for you, please subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with someone who loves the Bible. Let us keep going. Question 11. Who woke Elijah twice while he slept under a tree in the wilderness? A. God's voice. B. A prophet. C. An angel. D. The wind. Your 10 seconds begin. Remarkable. It's C, an angel. 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 5 to 7 records Elijah's lowest moment. After his victory over the prophets of Baal, he fled from Jezebel, collapsed under a broom tree, and prayed to die. He fell asleep. An angel touched him. Get up and eat. He ate and slept again. The angel came a second time. Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. God met Elijah's exhaustion with food, not a sermon. Question 12. How did King Saul disguise himself before visiting the medium at Endor? A. Wore a mask. B. Cut his hair. C. Covered his face. D. Changed his clothes. 10 seconds on the clock. Powerful. It's D. Changed his clothes. 1 Samuel chapter 28 verse 8 records a desperate, tragic night. Saul had expelled all mediums from Israel, then secretly went to consult one. He changed his clothes and traveled by night to the woman at Endor, asking her to summon Samuel. The message he received was devastating. The Lord has departed from you. Tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. It was Saul's last night before his final battle. Question 13. What name did Jacob give the place where he dreamed of a stairway to heaven? A. Bethel. B. Peniel. C. Gilgal. D. Mizpah. The clock starts now. Amazing. It's A. Bethel. Genesis chapter 28, verses 11 to 19 records Jacob's famous dream during his flight from Esau. He stopped for the night, took a stone for a pillow, and slept. He saw a stairway reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending, and God standing at the top renewing the covenant promises. When he woke, he called the place Bethel, meaning house of God. It had been an ordinary stopping place. One dream turned it into holy ground. Question 14. What suddenly appeared on the wall during King Belshazzar's night feast? A. Flames. B. A shadow. C. An angel. D. A human hand. You have 10 seconds. Spectacular. It's D. A human hand. Daniel chapter 5, verse 5 records the moment that ended an empire. In the middle of Belshazzar's lavish feast, as he drank wine from the sacred vessels stolen from the Jerusalem temple, the fingers of a human hand appeared and wrote on the plaster wall. The king's face turned pale, his knees knocked together, and his legs gave way. Daniel was summoned and read the words, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. That same night Belshazzar was slain. Question 15. Boaz woke at midnight on the threshing floor to find who sleeping at his feet? A. Naomi. B. Ruth. C. Orpah. D. A servant. 10 seconds begin. Correct. It's B. Ruth. Ruth, chapter 3, verse 8 records an unforgettable midnight moment. Boaz was startled from sleep and found a woman lying at his feet. Ruth had followed Naomi's instruction to uncover his feet, a bold covenantal act asking for the protection of a kinsman redeemer. Boaz did not rebuke her. He called her act one of remarkable loyalty and told her he would take the necessary steps. By morning, a family line was on its way to being redeemed. Question 16. In the parable of the 10 virgins, when was the bridegroom announced as coming? A. At dusk. B. At dawn. C. At midnight. D. At 3 a.m. Your 10 seconds begin. Brilliant. It's C. Midnight. Matthew chapter 25 verse 6 records the midnight cry, "Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." 5 virgins were wise and 5 were foolish. The foolish 5 had no extra oil and their lamps were going out. While they rushed to buy more, the bridegroom arrived, the door was shut, and they were locked out. Jesus closes the parable with one line, "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." Question 17. What did Jesus do all night on a mountain before choosing the 12 apostles? A. He fasted. B. He read scripture. C. He rested. D. He prayed. 10 seconds on the clock. Astonishing. It's D. He prayed. Luke chapter 6 verse 12 records a detail that stops readers. Jesus went out to a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. The next morning he chose 12 disciples and named them apostles. Before the most significant personnel decision in the history of the church, Jesus spent an entire night alone with the Father. The 12 were not chosen in a committee meeting. They were chosen on the other side of prayer. Question 18. How many Assyrian soldiers did God's angel strike down in one night near Jerusalem? A. 185,000. B. 100,000. C. 75,000. D. 250,000. The clock starts now. Victorious. It's A. 185,000. 2 Kings chapter 19 verse 35 records one of the most dramatic nights in biblical history. The Assyrian king Sennacherib had surrounded Jerusalem with a vast army and sent a threatening letter to King Hezekiah. Hezekiah spread the letter before the Lord. That night, the angel of the Lord went out to the Assyrian camp and struck down 185,000 men. When the people rose the next morning, there were dead bodies everywhere. Sennacherib withdrew and returned to Nineveh. Question 19. In Daniel's night vision, 4 great beasts rose from where? A. The desert. B. The sea. C. The earth. D. A deep pit. You have 10 seconds. Phenomenal. It's B, the sea. Daniel chapter 7 verses 2 to 3 records. Daniel's vision. In my vision at night I looked, and there before me were the 4 winds of heaven churning up the great sea. 4 great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea. The 4 beasts symbolized 4 great world empires: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. This night vision remains one of the most studied prophetic passages in all of Scripture, read by scholars across millennia. Question 20. Eutychus fell out of which floor window during Paul's late-night sermon? A. First floor. B. Second floor. C. Third floor. D. Fourth floor. 10 seconds begin. Inspiring. It's C, third floor. Acts chapter 20, verse 9 records a dramatic moment in Troas. Paul was preaching late into the night in a third-floor room. A young man named Eutychus sat in an open window, fell into a deep sleep and toppled out, 3 stories down. He was picked up dead. Paul went down, threw himself on the young man and declared, "Do not be alarmed, he is alive." The sermon resumed. Eutychus lived. Question 21. How did Paul's disciples help him escape from Damascus secretly by night? A. A hidden tunnel. B. A disguise. C. A large basket. D. A rope ladder. Your 10 seconds begin. Amazing. It's C, a large basket. Acts chapter 9, verse 25 records the escape. His followers took him by night and lowered him in a basket through an opening in the wall. After Paul's conversion, the Jewish leaders in Damascus plotted to kill him. They watched the city gates day and night to catch him. His disciples found another way. The man who had once imprisoned others was himself smuggled out of a city, in the dark, in a basket. Question 22. What happened in the Philippian jail when Paul and Silas sang at midnight? A. Guards converted. B. Their chains broke. C. The jailer fled. D. An earthquake struck. 10 seconds on the clock. Masterful. It's D. An earthquake struck. Acts chapter 16, verses 25 to 26 records the scene. Paul and Silas, beaten and in stocks, were praying and singing hymns at midnight. Suddenly, a violent earthquake shook the prison to its foundation. Every door flew open. Every chain fell loose. The jailer woke and drew his sword to kill himself, thinking the prisoners had escaped. Paul shouted, "Do not harm yourself. We are all here." That night, the jailer and his entire household believed and were baptized. Question 23. After sunset, what appeared and passed between Abram's offerings to seal God's covenant? A. A blazing torch. B. A cloud of smoke. C. A column of light. D. A mighty wind. The clock starts now. Incredible. It's A. A blazing torch. Genesis chapter 15, verse 17 records the covenant ceremony after dark. Abram had prepared the animal halves and waited through the night. Then a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. In ancient covenant rites, both parties walked between the halves, meaning death to whoever broke the agreement. But only God walked through, meaning God alone bore all the consequences. The darkness of that night became the birth of an unconditional promise. Question 24. What did an angel warn Joseph in a dream to do immediately? A. Return to Bethlehem. B. Flee to Egypt. C. Hide in a cave. D. Seek Simeon's help. You have 10 seconds. Wonderful. It's B. Flee to Egypt. Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 records the angel's urgent warning. Get up, take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. Joseph got up in the middle of the night and left for Egypt before dawn. Before Herod's soldiers arrived in Bethlehem, the family was gone. A dream in the dark, instant obedience, and the life of the Son of God was preserved. Question 25. In a single night, how many prophetic visions did Zechariah record in his book? A. 4. B. 6. C. 8. D. 12. 10 seconds begin. Shocking. It's C8. Zechariah chapter 1 verse 7 introduces the night, the 11th month, the 24th day. In a single night, the prophet Zechariah received 8 distinct visions, from horsemen among the myrtle trees to the flying scroll, the woman in a basket, and the 4 chariots. Together they span from Zechariah chapter 1 verse 7 through chapter 6 verse 15. Each vision addressed the restoration of Jerusalem and God's coming kingdom, 8 windows into the future, all received before a single morning arrived. Oh wow, 25 Bible nights. Done! Quick bonus for the comments. One man in tonight's quiz slept so peacefully in prison the night before his execution that an angel had to strike him to wake him up. Who was he, and which 2 New Testament books share his name? Drop your answer below. God bless you.